7649.
Check. 1, 2. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Monday, the 24th of August, 2026, and a lot to get to. Boy, there's so much subterfuge, gaslighting, propagandizing, and lying. Oh, it keeps going, doesn't it? You won't be trusted anymore. All right, welcome to the Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist. WTF with the facts. And if the facts make you exclaim, WTF, what the so be it. There's a lot of reason to exclaim that. And I'm going to try to get to as much as I can today because there's so much going on over the weekend. And I'm not videotaping today's show. I've got a couple of things that I have to learn with this program before I can continue on making these videos. So, but I have made a bunch of them, and there's a couple of little audio issues that I had. But I invite you to visit the website, TheWTFReports.com, and all of our archives are there, audio programs and the videos. So, and again, I come with the receipts. This is not Dave saying this. It's basically, I'll quote from the documents. I'll show the documents with the video. I'll play the video clips and the audio clips so you hear it directly from the source. Or I'll play something that, somebody posts that makes an awful lot of sense. So to get you to think outside of the proverbial cage that they've got us all in. And we've been in all of our lives. People are finding out that everything we've been told is a lie. Everything. We've been told this, and we know it's that. Okay, we say it's that, they say it's that, and we know it's this. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't listen to your lying ears, etc., etc. So anyway, right off the bat, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. You regular listeners know that over the past couple of weeks, I've been basically screaming from the rooftops about a video clip of Charlie Kirk's assassination and how the shirt jumps up, and then it comes down, and then, and only then, do you see the wound on his neck. Now, I know it's a bit gory and macabre, gruesome to look at, but I posted the video, and it's out there. You can find it, but it's obvious that the shirt jumps up, and then when it comes down, you can see the wound. And in slow motion, you could see a little hole, then a medium hole, and a big hole. So, if the shirt jumps first, how is it that the shirt jumped because of a bullet? How is that possible? So a lot of people now, I posted this, and I'll tell you, there's a firestorm of comments going on. And I'm seeing the exact same methodology of basically creating animosity and division and arguing and all that. I saw the same crap 25 years ago. When I released the 9/11 in plain sight video. Actually, it was 22 years ago, in 2004, when that came out. And again in 2007, 2008, when the sequel, 9/11 in Ripple Effect, came out. Now there, I was basically asking the question, according to the video and photographic evidence, which I showed in those documentaries, and if you want to see them, go to my website, go to DaveVonKleist.com. You can scroll down and click on the button that says 9/11 information, and you can watch these documentaries. All right? Now, the point of contention was, according to the video and photographic evidence, there appeared to be something attached to the belly of the plane. Now, it wasn't just me that came to that assumption or conclusion. But, there were others. There were airline pilots. I'm having a senior moment right now. It was one airline pilot. What was his name? But anyway, bottom line here is that I had other people who were experts who basically said, yeah, there appears to be something on the belly of that plane. All right. Now, what it is, I don't know. And I even said, I don't care if it's Pee Wee Herman strapped down to the bottom of the plane with duct tape. Whatever's on the belly of the plane isn't supposed to be there.
Well, if you don't know what it is, you shouldn't be talking about it.
Well, if we don't talk about it, we'll never know what it is. And then there was the issue about the flash. Yeah, the flash that occurred before the plane hit the tower. Or shall I say the planes hit the towers. Okay? Remember the video clip of the firemen in the street in Manhattan? And they heard the airliner go right overhead, and then they looked, and the camera panned, and you saw the first plane hitting the first tower. And again, in slow motion, you will see a flash that occurs before the plane hit the tower. So I was asking, what is this flash? Okay, and then I compared the two different videos of the plane hitting the first tower and the plane hitting the second tower. And glorioski, what do you know? There was a flash on both of them. And so I was saying, what is this flash? What could it be? And the outrage in the 9/11 community was unbelievable. Well, again, if you don't know what it is, you shouldn't be talking about it. Well, the same methodology, the same division, the same, animosity that's being created in the people who are trying to find out what happened with Charlie Kirk. Okay? The mainstream media and the main narrative is that Tyler Robinson shot him. Tyler Robinson with a .30-06. Tyler Robinson. They're pushing that and pushing it. As they say, a lie told often enough becomes the truth. Now, we don't know exactly what happened. According to the narrative, yeah, it's a case closed. Tyler Robinson did it. But none of the evidence points in that direction. And the one clue that I've been pushing here is the idea that the shirt jumps and then the wound shows up. Now they're saying, well, then you have to say what it is. No, I do not have to say what it is. What I'm pointing out is that just that one piece of evidence gives credence to the idea that it was not a gunshot and it was not Tyler Robinson. Now, I'm not here to prove guilt or innocence or anything like that. I just want to know what the truth is. And I know that the mainstream media and all the TPUSA, and they're all screaming, it's Tyler Robinson, and you don't believe your lying eyes. Okay? But this is, like I said, this is the same methodology that I saw, 20 odd years ago. And it's just, I just throw up my arms. This is why I stepped away from the 9/11 movement altogether and say, look, you guys can fight amongst yourselves. You can just go ahead and argue and bitch and point fingers, et cetera, and you're never going to get to the truth. The way I see it is that if everybody has a puzzle piece, and my puzzle piece is the right one, and yours is no good, and fighting amongst... No. Everybody get together. Work together. Put the puzzle pieces on the table and join hands and put all of these puzzle pieces together to figure out what the big picture is. That's what my philosophy is. But no, instead of seeing everybody as teammates, they have to see each other as competition. And that's how it works. So anyway, over the weekend, some folks have posted some other angles of the shirt jumping and the wound showing up, and it shows the same doggone thing. So my question is, how does this shirt jump up so violently and then the wound shows up? And so anyway, that question will stand, and I will continue to ask that question, because if the mainstream media and the narrative is Tyler Robinson, and yet that piece of evidence says it wasn't. So I'll continue to go down that path. Anyway, that's one issue that I wanted to get on the table. The other thing is this infighting that's going on. This is all being planned. Now, I've said it on this broadcast, and I've been saying this for years and years, all the way back to the Power Hour back in the early 2000s, Yeah, 25 years ago, I was saying the same doggone thing, and I'll keep on saying it until people finally figure it out, that all you red conservative Republicans, okay, you go on this side of the room, okay, and all you blue liberal Democrats go on that side of the room, okay, so we're all separated here, all right? So I look at one group, I say, hey, do you like war? No! Do you? And I go over here, do you like war? No! Okay, good. We have that in common. Do you like the military-industrial complex? No! Do you? No! Oh, good. Do you like Big Pharma? No! Do you? No! Oh, great, we're on a roll. Do you like the Federal Reserve? No! Do you? No! Okay. We could go on and on and on. We have so much in common, and yet the powers that be work desperately to keep us fighting amongst ourselves, so we have a horizontal conflict. Now, when you got right versus left, left versus right, finger pointing this way, that way, nothing ever changes. And it's not going to change until we start considering the concept that the conflict should be bottom to top. And when I say top, I don't mean just the federal government all the way in Washington. I don't mean just your state government at your state capitol with your state representatives and your state senators. And I'm not talking about your county representatives. They're liberal or conservative. I'm not just talking about your city officials or your town officials. I'm saying it's all of them. All of them. Top to bottom. And the only way we're ever going to solve any of these problems is if we finally figure it out that it's not a horizontal conflict that's going to get anything accomplished. It's got to be bottom to top. As they say, think globally, act locally. And I guarantee you, I don't care where you live in this country. I don't care if you're from Podunk or Cincinnati or whatever little town or huge city that you live in. I guarantee you that your city officials are compromised. Every single one of them. Well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say every single one. I would say most of them, a huge percentage of them. They are all almost compromised. And I've said it on this broadcast many times, when you're climbing the ladder of success, whether it be in the public sector or the private sector, eventually you come across a particular rung that will require you to compromise your principles and your morals. And unless you're willing to do that, you will no longer ascend the ladder of success. And the people in Washington know that. And what is it that they say? Stuff rises to the top? Fill in the blank. Well, that's why you've got fill in the blank running your government. And yes, they are all disgusting, vile human beings. Or at least all of them that have, shall we say, compromised themselves. But as far as this right versus left argument, I've been making that, like I said, for decades. Somebody posted this. As a matter of fact, it was, Jocom, Mr. Red Pills. Anyway, I don't know who that is, but he posted the following video, and boy, it resounds. It's the truth. Listen to this.
Every election, they tell you the same thing. This is the most important election of your lifetime. The people on the other side are dangerous. They're destroying the country. And if your team doesn't win, America is finished. So we fight. Republican versus Democrat. Conservative versus liberal. Red versus blue. Friends turn against friends. Families argue. Complete strangers fucking hate each other.
Oops.
Over politicians who don't even know their names. But here's where things get interesting. Because while we're busy fighting each other, Washington has an entire industry built around influencing Washington. Lobbyists, political action committees, major donors, corporations, special interests. Billions of dollars moving through the political system because apparently everybody wants a little piece of your representatives' attention. And those representatives? Most members of Congress make $174,000 a year. They can serve for decades, get reelected again and again.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Yeah, most of them get $174,000 a year. That excludes the money that they have been bribed or, lobbied with. Now we continue.
And again. And when people leave government, sometimes they walk straight through the revolving door into the industries, lobbying firms, and organizations that spend their money trying to influence government. Then somebody else walks through that same door, right back into government. Funny how that works. Meanwhile, the cameras turn on. The red team screams at the blue team. The blue team screams at the red team. Everyone is outraged. Everyone is furious. Everyone wants you absolutely terrified of what happens if the other team wins.
Yep.
Then the election ends. And somehow, the machine keeps running. Because maybe the greatest trick in American politics wasn't convincing you that one side was good and the other side was evil. Maybe it was convincing you that your neighbor was the enemy. So while millions of Americans fight sideways, nobody looks up. Republican, Democrat, right wing, left wing. Two wings on the same fucking bird.
Oops, sorry about that word. I didn't know that was in there. Anyway, yeah, they're just basically saying the same thing that I've been screaming about for years and years and years and years, and the same stuff keeps on going on. Nothing changes. Nothing. As a matter of fact, I wasn't planning on playing this. As a matter of fact, I pulled this up while you just heard that audio clip there. One of the reasons why I missed those words, those bad words, I apologize for that. But I'm going to take you back 50 years. Yes, indeed, a half a century. And I'm going to play this audio clip because it needs to be played again and again and again until people figure out that nothing will ever change until you, me, I, they, them, all of us, we have to stand up. We have to turn off the doggone football games and the baseball playoffs and the Netflix and the reality shows and the American Ninja and the America's Got Talent and all the other distractions, all the eye candy that they put out there. And we've got to face reality. And until we're willing and able to do that, and we're willing and able to actually do something about it, nothing is going to change. I take you back to 1976 and the movie Network, when Howard Beale went on, the fictitious Howard Beale, network anchor man, went on a rant. And here's his rant. And it's true then, it's true today. Well, let's get that to play again. Here we go. Bam.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Okay, I just wanted to share that bit. Now, again, that was 50 years ago. And Howard Beale was saying, I want you to go to the window, stick your head out, and scream, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Well, a lot of people are already screaming about it, but nothing's going to happen until we do something. And I remind you, our founding fathers told us what to do. But when a long train of usurpations, a long train of abuses and usurpations seeks invariably to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government, not vote them out, not sue them. No, you throw them out, and that is the polite way of saying the quiet part out loud. No, you grab them and you throw them out. You have to basically delete them from the government. You basically eliminate them from their positions. And I'm using words that are a little bit suggestive, but I'm not saying to go out and do any violence or anything like that, but what did our founding fathers have to do? What did they do? Now, there was a time in this country when then a corrupt politician would be run out of town on a rail, or he would be tarred and feathered. And we've seen videos from overseas in other countries in Europe where the people find one of their representatives or officials corrupted. And what do? They physically pull them out of the building. They throw them in the dumpster. Now, this is where we're at, folks.
Oh, I don't want to make any waves. I don't want...
Yeah, land of the free and home of the brave. We won't be land of the free unless we demonstrate some testicular fortitude, because we've been lied to about everything. And I got to tell you, I am no, Bible scholar or theological master or anything like that. I mean, I started digging into scriptures about 30 years ago, and I wasn't raised, in an evangelical or Christian background. I didn't care about it. But at one point in my life, a friend of mine gave me a Bible, and I started reading it, and it made an impression on me. And I got to tell you, folks, ever since the October 7th attack, now we know, and I've been covering this for quite some time, you regular listeners already know this, but more and more information and evidence is coming out that proves what Charlie Kirk questioned on the PBD broadcast. He said, was there a stand-down order? Was there a stand-down order? Yes, there was a stand-down order, and they've got the IDF soldiers on tape.
I don't have to tell you things are bad.
Oh, wait a second. Go away. Yeah, we've got IDF soldiers on videotape basically saying that, yes, they were told to stand down, to not abandon their posts, but just don't go to their posts. And we've also got videos that were taken by the helicopter pilots of the IDF where they're shooting their own people. And then we've got the video and photographic evidence of all those cars that were at the concert. And my goodness, they're all melted, just like the melted cars in the forest fires. Yeah. So more and more evidence is coming out that proves that we've been lied to, we've been deceived. So anyway, the point is, though, I started going into Scripture. And you know what? I've got on my computer here, I pulled up the Jewish Virtual Library. It's the Torah. Yeah, the Jewish Old Testament. And you know what, campers? It's almost word for word identical to the Old Testament. I didn't know that. As a matter of fact, you might want to take a note on this one. Go to Isaiah chapter 53. I'm not going to read it, but Isaiah chapter 53, and read it and understand what's being described, or shall I say, who is being described. And again, this is in the Jewish Bible, the Torah. And a lot of Israelis say that it's been called the forbidden chapter. Why would it be called the forbidden chapter? Well, go and read it, and you'll figure out why. They may have missed something. But aside from that, I went to Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, and I started reading it from the beginning. And I don't do that very often. I'll pick one of the books and I'll start reading it from the beginning, and I'll read the whole book. But I went back to Isaiah, and I'd forgotten about this because I read this years ago, but it didn't mean anything to me but now it does. Now it does, because I've been paying attention to world events. So I would suggest any of you folks out there, you've got your KJV. I've got my KJV. And I've also, oh, by the way, I also downloaded a ton of the zip files from Joe Velt's website. Rest his soul. He basically unalived himself a couple of weeks ago. And he has been posting all of these ancient scriptures. He's been scanning them and posting them and scanning them and posting them. Go to the website, theholyword.net. Theholyword.net. And download what they're offering there. Get it onto a hard drive, because I guarantee you the powers that be don't want that information out there. I mean, he's got Bibles that go back 500-600 years. And other script, lots of other documents, lots of other scriptures that were suppressed. And I'm sure you've heard about how all these old books are being purchased up by people that are running AI, and they're taking these old antique books, priceless books, and they're cutting the bindings off so they can scan the pages and then shred them. They don't want hard copy out there. They want everything digitized so that when the switch gets flipped, you won't be able to get to it anymore. So go to theholyword.net. That's Joe Velt's website, and start downloading everything that you can and get it onto an external hard drive if you can. Anyway, I digress. I wanted to share with you just the first few verses of the book of the prophet Isaiah. And again, this is not just the KJV. It's also doggone near word for word. As a matter of fact, let me see if I'll pull up the Jewish virtual library, and I'll read it from that. Let me see here. Where is it? No, that's not it. I got so many tabs open here. Let's see. Well, I'll tell you what. Oh, there it is. Okay. I got it pulled up to chapter 53. And that is, I got to tell you, chapter 53 in the Torah, the chapter 53 of Isaiah is word for word identical to the King James Version. And the reason I wanted to share this with you is because of the following. And this is all because of October 7th. A lot of people were never aware of all this stuff, and it was Israel that started pushing this whole idea about God's chosen people. God's chosen people. God's chosen people. Yes, God said, I will bless those who bless Israel, and I will curse those who curse Israel. That's a misquote. Thank you, Mike Huckabee and Ted Cruz, for bringing that to our attention. But that's not what the Bible says. Again, I point out, and many of you already know this, that Israel is the name that God gave to Jacob. He said, what is your name? Jacob said, I'm Jacob. He said, no. From here on in, you're known as Israel. So God renamed Jacob Israel. Jacob had 12 sons, hence the 12 tribes. The 12 what? The 12 tribes. Tribes of Israel. It's a people. It was never a country. Israel was never a state. Israel was never a nation. It was, and always will be a tribe that kept its covenant with God Almighty. And they kept the contract. Now, there were those who basically digressed. And that's who Isaiah is talking about. So I will share with you, I'm not going to do this whole thing. Again, I'm not here to proselytize or evangelize. I'm just trying to get to the truth. And it doesn't make any difference what I believe. It doesn't make any difference what you believe. What makes a difference is what they believe. And they've lied to us. They've lied to themselves. Anyway, I digress. I'm here on the book of Isaiah. And again, I emphasize that Israel is a tribe, is a people. It is not, never was, and never will be a country, a nation, or a state. However, the Word of God mentions something. And I'm going to pick up at, this is chapter 1, Verse 3. Well, I'll go to verse 2. It says, Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. Ah, sinful nation. Ooh, why did God call it a nation? A people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. Now, just in that one line, that's Isaiah chapter 1, verse 4, he starts off in calling them a sinful nation. He said that nation has provoked the Holy One of Israel, that's the people, unto anger. They've gone away backwards. Okay, let's go further. Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head, there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence. And it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. It goes on and on and on here, basically condemning the nation of Israel. Now again, he wasn't admonishing the people or the tribe. He was talking about the nation that's gone away backwards. Now again, this is in the Torah. So I would, all right, let's see here. Okay, I got a caller coming in here, so all right, I've got some more stuff to get to, but I'll go to the caller. Hello, who is it? Is it Carol? Hello.
Yeah, it's Carol.
Okay.
Finally getting to you.
Okay, am I a wackadoodle here going off on a tangent?
Well, I don't know. I haven't been listening to you yet here today. So
you're calling in.
You.
In other words, you're grabbing my steering wheel and taking me off the road. Okay.
What were you talking about?
Well, I was just going into how we've been lied to by the powers that be, and I was going through some scripture to point out the hypocrisy of it. But real quick, what have you got? Because I got some stuff I got to get to. So what's on your mind?
Okay. Well, I was just thinking it wouldn't, even if Israel got blown off the world map, they still got inroads all over the world anyway.
That's right.
I mean, you look at, it's like it wouldn't make a big difference. They got their claws in everything.
Well, the people think that if they got rid of Netanyahu, things would straighten themselves out. But they're not going to straighten themselves out because the other two candidates that are, up for a prime minister, if he's eliminated, are just as bad, if not worse, than Netanyahu. So, yes, it's a many-headed hydra that we have to deal with.
And more on that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, I'll let you go then if you got something going on.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thanks for calling in. I appreciate your listenership. You take it easy. You take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. And again, I'm not here to evangelize or proselytize or convert or anything like that. But like I said, inasmuch that the powers that be have been pushing this stuff, God's chosen people and it's their land, et cetera, well, then let's go back to the guidebook that they claim that they're listening to. So anyway, there was, let me see here, there was what else? Oh, yeah, a couple of things in the news that I that I want to get to. I'm sure you've heard about Trump saying that he wants to help the American people out because the price of beef is so high, so he wants to import 300 tons of beef from Argentina. Well, folks, I lived in Argentina for about 6.5 years, okay? I don't know where the heck he gets the idea that the Argentines can spare 300 tons of beef when they have a hard time feeding their own people. So the question is, and look at the timing. So he says he's going to import 300 tons of Argentine beef and flood the market with hamburger or ground beef to help the consumer. Yeah, I'm going to help get the price down so you can make your burgers or your meatloaf. Well. Isn't it amazing that at the same freaking time, they have decided that they're going to herd up 90% of the wild horses, and they're going to sell them off at $25 a piece to be slaughtered. Put the puzzle pieces together, folks. Look at the timing. So they're basically telling everybody that we're going to slaughter all these horses, and at the same time we're going to end up with 300 tons of ground beef. Okay, how stupid do they think we are? Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that just don't watch the news anymore. They're not paying attention, and they won't even know. So that's something to throw in there. So anyway, let me see. There were a couple other things here, a couple other headlines that I want to get to, follow-throughs. Oh, yes, let's not forget about the flock cameras. Yeah, I've been covering that, and I will continue to cover that because we got some real problems here with those flock cameras.
Oh, but they're not. They're just license plate readers.
Yeah, and I've been saying this. Oh, wait a second. If they're license plate readers, they should all be aimed at the streets, but they're not. They're in public parks. They're aimed at bike trails and walking trails. They're not just watching the cars go by. As a matter of fact, U.S. Attorney John Sarcone III, he basically said the quiet part out loud, and this is only about a 5 or 10 second clip. Listen to what he says. And again, this is Attorney John Sarcone III. Here he is.
If you don't have flock cameras, how are law enforcement going to detect and see somebody walking around?
Whoa. Doing what? Listen again.
If you don't have flock cameras, how are law enforcement going to detect and see somebody walking around, possibly looking to blow up your state capitol or commit terrorist acts?
Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. He said it. They want to see people walking around. In other words, it's not about the license plate readers. And that's why I was reporting last week that some of these flock cameras are pointed at school grounds. Yeah, grammar schools. They got them pointed at the swimming pools. And in some cases, inside the building in gymnasiums so they can watch the children play. It's funny that, they're saying, that we're here to solve crime. And so how many children have you rescued? How many? None? A couple? A few? Some? A bunch? We don't know because they're not doing that. As a matter of fact, what's his name? Garrett Langley. He's the CEO of Flock. He was on Fox News, and here's just a piece of what he had to say.
I value my privacy. My family values their privacy. My employees value their privacy. But what we're talking about is safety as well.
Okay, right there. I value my privacy, but it's also about safety.
So I think when people talk about just one of these, privacy or safety, they're prioritizing the wrong thing. And what we have to prioritize as a country is compromise.
We're prioritizing the wrong thing, are we? So we have to compromise our privacy for our security. Is that what you're saying?
We have our safety, and how do we balance privacy? And so when I think about legislation that calls for an outright ban, that's like banning vehicles. That would never have made sense. Instead, what we did is we introduced laws against drunk driving. We introduced laws around seatbelts, laws around airbags.
And every single one of them is unconstitutional.
Whenever they want to take away our freedoms, it's...
Yeah, okay, that goes into a commentary there. But, do you see what's wrong with this? Remember, Ben Franklin said those who sacrifice their liberty for security deserve neither liberty nor security. But see, that concept seems to escape the ilk. Those people who think that way. So, and that's why one of the reasons a week ago today, I went to my local city council meeting and I testified or basically made my statement. And, I played that on last week's show. So, anyway, getting back to this issue about morals, about scruples and principles, and how those who basically, slither their way up to the top, only do so because they're basically dancing with the devil. And they're compromising their morals and principles. And who pays for it? We do. By loss of our liberty, loss of our economy, the whole doggone thing. They are financially raping all of us. Anyway, but this is what you call softening the target. Yeah. Okay, now stop and think about it. We've got all of these forest fires, for example. Oh, and that reminds me. Oh, I forgot about this one. Oh, my word. Yeah, those fires, they're back in the news again. Yeah. And let me see here. Oops, what did I do here? Oh, man, I hit something and all my windows went away. But anyway, one of the things that I noticed online was that people are saying that... Whoa, hold on a second here. Dang, okay, I was going to cue that up there. I noticed that ever since this talk about all these forest fires started coming up, people started going back and looking at some of the reports that came out a couple of years ago. Okay? Now, these fires, by the way, there's a new one out in Reno. They're evacuating people in the Reno, Nevada area. And, of course, there are fires all over Europe. There's fires all over Central Africa. And, of course, down in Patagonia, we know that those fires are going on. We've never seen so many fires. We've never seen so many floods. We've never seen so many, violent storms. What's it, Gary, Indiana? I don't know if they got power back. Last I checked, they were out of power for 10 days. This is called softening the target, folks. You beat them down economically. You beat them down physically with fires and floods and horrible weather. And so people just don't have the fight anymore. So that means that something's coming down the pike. But I was online and all this talk about these forest fires and stuff like that. And then somebody brought up the conversation that Wendy Bell, who was a radio broadcaster in Philadelphia, and then she stepped up and was working at Newsmax for a while. She did a program she called Common Sense. Well, guess what? I guess she stepped on some toes by making the following statement. And again, now we're looking back at all of these other fires, these mysterious fires that broke out. And she made the following report. Was it just shortly? Yeah, about 3 years ago, right after the fires in Lahaina and Maui. Listen to what she had to say.
Welcome back to Common Sense, everybody. I'm Wendy Bell. It's stunning to monitor the media's lack of interest in the whole Maui story. I've been in this business for 30 years. I'm stunned, but I'm not surprised. The dots are connecting. And coincidence seems to be the story here, right? But the true story, the media knows it is not allowed to tell. But I can. Is it a coincidence that the Maui police chief is the same man who was in charge in Las Vegas during that massacre that killed 58 people? Is it a coincidence that the Maui property, owned by million and billionaires, it wasn't touched by the flames while homes of the locals all burned? Was it a coincidence that the flames traveled across hundreds of feet of pavement and crossed a 4-lane highway with emergency shoulders to jump into the ocean and then burn all the boats? Was it a coincidence that the largest system of outdoor emergency sirens in the world never made a sound as the fire devoured Lahaina? Was it a coincidence that at the same time, very same time, all the water was turned off? Was it a coincidence that police were ordered to block off streets and to funnel all the cars trying to escape onto one road where that firestorm incinerated entire families? How about the coincidence that the governor of Hawaii, Josh Green, just weeks before that inferno, signed a pledge to the UN's 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development, pledging to eliminate emissions? Weird. And think about this coincidence. That governor also signed an emergency proclamation on July 17th, 3 weeks before the fire, about housing of all things, and suspended 7 state statutes protecting historic preservation laws, removing all of the red tape when it comes to building infrastructure. Coincidentally, that emergency proclamation also suspends previous building laws and gives the governor some magic wand power to appoint a housing czar to rule on the island's redevelopment. Is it a coincidence that the government put up a black fence around Lahaina, or that the FAA grounded all drones from flying over the affected areas? Is it a coincidence that since at least 2011, there have been plans to make Maui the first smart city run by 100% renewable energy, and that coincidentally, 2 of the 3 largest landowners on Maui are BlackRock and the U.S. government, and that both are part of the UN's agenda? It must be a coincidence, then, that the locals whose homes did not burn are now being evicted from their property. And, of course, a total coincidence that all the fact checkers who are checking these facts, who say everything I just told you is just a coincidence, are also owned and run by BlackRock. Thank goodness none of these coincidences is connected. I'm Wendy Bell. I'll see you next time for more Common Sense.
Yeah. What a coincidence. Yeah, it goes on and on. And, we're seeing more and more and more of these fires, more and more floods, more and more violent weather storms. And I can't help but think that they're basically setting up the American people and the people of all over the world for something really big to happen. And hopefully, in their minds, the people will be so beaten down that they won't have the spirit to fight back. Well, yeah, like Howard Beale said, you got to get mad. And you got to do more than just go into the window and sticking your head out and screaming, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. I mean, there are people around the world that are basically trying to tell you what you have to do. And a lot of people don't want to admit that. They don't want to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty. But like I just said a few minutes ago, the Constitution tells you what to do. It is your right and it is your duty to do so. Christine Anderson was, Minister Parliament in Germany. She was talking about the pandemic. It was a test, folks, to see how many people would stand up. Listen to what she was telling us, and she's saying the same doggone thing. You have to resist, because your great-great-great-grandchildren will curse your apathy and complacency if you don't. Here's Christine Anderson.
This whole COVID madness, this so-called pandemic, it was just a test balloon, a gigantic test balloon. Well, for what, you ask? Well, to see how far they could go, to see what exactly they would have to do to get free individuals in a free and democratic society to consent to being forced into compliance. That's what they were trying to establish. That's what they were trying to figure out. And they have figured it out. Trust me, they are much smarter now. The goal ultimately is to transform our free and democratic societies, into totalitarian societies. Their goal is to strip each and every one of us of our fundamental rights of freedom, democracy, the rule of law. They want to get rid of all of this. This whole COVID thing had never anything to do with public health. It never had anything to do with breaking waves. It always had to do with breaking people in order to make us a part of a mindless, malleable mass, which they can totally control, and we will be completely dependent upon this globalitarian elite. So I'm really imploring the people and all the peoples around the world, for God's sake, stop giving your democratically elected governments the benefit of the doubt. They are not deserving of that. They are not. Stop rationalizing whatever your government is doing. Stop rationalizing and come up with some good intentions. They have no good intentions. Never. As I said before, in the entire history of mankind, there has never been a political elite concerned about the well-being of regular people. And it isn't any different now. Why should it? Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. Because I can tell you, you cannot comply your way out of a tyranny. It is impossible. Trying to do so, you will only feed a gigantic alligator in the hopes of being eaten last. But guess what? Your turn will come, and then you will be the one swallowed up. I also have to ask the people, end your silence. Speak up. For God's sake, stop complying. Start rebelling. They're out to get you if you do not resist.
Again, that's Christine Anderson, and she was speaking at the EU, the European Parliament, and she's saying the same thing. She's not even an American. No. She's German. And she's saying the same doggone thing. It's up to us, folks. Nothing's going to change unless we change it. We can engage in a right versus left conflict, and we can point fingers at the red people and versus the blue people, and the conservatives versus the liberals, and the blue hairs versus this, whatever. But I guarantee you, I don't care if you're white or you're black or you're brown or you're yellow. I don't care if you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or an agnostic. I don't care if you're French or South African or American or whatever. Every human being on this planet wants the same thing. We want food, shelter, clothing, and love. We all bleed the same blood. And we have to understand that the powers that be remain in power by continuing the conflict. They know doggone well that if peace were to break out on a global basis, they'd all go broke. You know, most of the U.S. budget goes to support the military-industrial complex. War is money. And if they don't have war, they go broke. So they're going to create war and create conflict. That's the way the game is played. And in doing so, they have to dumb down the population and pit one against the other and hope that you won't notice. Well, yes, guess what, campers? There's a lot of noticing going on now. And by the way, people are starting to realize, the difference between light and darkness, between good and evil. And I can't help but say, over the weekend, somebody was posting, it's all over the internet, some sick, disgusting Israelis out there. They put a donkey behind an SUV or a truck or whatever it was in the distance, and they started driving. And at first, that little donkey was trying to keep up because he was tied. He had no choice. He had to follow that vehicle. And the vehicle went faster and faster, and the poor donkey tried to go faster and faster until finally he fell down, and the truck dragged the poor donkey until he was dead. This is what these people do for entertainment. And I covered that story last week. There are videos out there, they were disgusting. People, these people going, here, kitty, kitty, here, kitty, kitty, and the kitty comes up, and then they boot the kitty like they're putting a football through the goal posts. And then they were taking cats and throwing them off of the tall buildings. And in some cases, they set a poor animal on fire and let it run into the woods and start a forest fire. I mean, this is what's going on, folks. If you don't want to believe it, I can't help you. They're shooting donkeys. They're shooting dogs. They're shooting goats. They're shooting sheep. They don't have any regard for life whatsoever, whether it be human life or not. This is what we're dealing with. This is the mentality of the people who are training our police right now. And if you think the crap that's been going on in Palestine is not coming home here, I don't know what you're smoking. You better figure this stuff up, wake out and smell the gunpowder, because that's what they're going to be using on you. And I'm sorry, I know some of the stuff I may be saying here is upsetting, but I got to tell you, I have some friends who are Jewish, and they're just as appalled and disgusted with what's going on over there in Israel as everybody else is. And the sad thing is that they're the ones that are going to be in danger, because there's too many people out there that don't have the discernment to understand that there are innocent Jewish people out there. There really are. But they're being manipulated just like everybody else. Anyway, I didn't even promote anything today. Tells you how much I'm into the money, right? All right, as always, I thank you for your listenership. If you get a chance, please go to our website, TheWTFReports.com. Get more tank. I didn't even talk about that today. Or the Wave Watch. Or you can support us by purchasing a T-shirt or baseball cap or a coffee mug Or if you don't need any of the above, you can make a donation to keep this program on the air. And also, if you're listening on BitChute or Rumble or Facebook or YouTube, you know what to do. Click like, share, subscribe, and above all else, spread the word by word of mouth. That's how we keep getting the word out. I'm shaking it I'm blowing the trumpet as hard as I can. I'm shaking it, boss, because God told me to do that 30-odd years ago. So, anyway, that said, again, thank you for your listenership. I'll be back again tomorrow, God willing. So stay safe, stay free. God bless you all. And like I said, God willing, I'll be back tomorrow. And I'm going to take Wednesday off. 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 Take Wednesday off.